Of the death of Pope Francis at the age of 88. He died after greeting people for Easter Sunday.
And many people from around the world were there in Vatican City for Easter and say they will always remember the Pope as a humble man.
We're looking live here at St. Peter's Basilica. This now begins a time of mourning there in Rome. Reporter Rebecca Castor, looking at the legacy Pope Francis leaves behind. When the white smoke filled the air over the Vatican in March of 2013, it signaled Pope Francis had been elected to lead the Catholic Church. And almost from that moment, he signaled changes were coming. The first pontiff from Latin America, the first Jesuit, the first to call himself Francis, would be just a few of the new beginnings. Born Jorge Bergoglio in Buenos Aires on December 17th, 1936, to Italian immigrant parents, he graduated with a degree in philosophy from the College of San Jose in San Miguel and was ordained a priest in 1969. In 1992, Pope John Paul II appointed him a bishop. 6 years later, he became Archbishop of Buenos Aires, a culturally diverse and economically challenged community. 3 years later, he was elevated to cardinal, where he was known for taking public transportation instead of a private car. When Pope John Paul II died in 2005, he was among the cardinals who elected Joseph Ratzinger, who became Benedict XVI. 8 years later, Benedict became the first pope in nearly 600 years to resign, sending shockwaves throughout the world. For Benedict's successor, the cardinals chose the 76-year-old Bergoglio. It was a surprise to most, but not his fellow cardinals. He turned down the palatial papal quarters in favor of a more modest residence at the Vatican. He also began speaking frankly about modern issues, famously saying, "Who am I to judge?" when asked about the sexual orientation of priests. Passionate about the environment, his signature encyclical, Laudato Si, outlined how global warming hurts the less fortunate around the world. Francis also defended Islam while condemning the terror group ISIS. In the wake of deadly terror attacks on Christians in Egypt, Francis traveled to Cairo, extending the hand of fellowship to Muslims. Francis worked to make the Catholic Church more welcoming and inclusive. He said he welcomed criticism of his papacy because it meant there was freedom to speak. His priestly motto had always been a Latin phrase that recognizes God's mercy and sovereignty, a sentiment that guided his ministry and will now be his legacy. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News. Thank you, Rebecca. Time now, 5:04. Well, all of the Catholic world is mourning because of the news that Pope Francis has died. KTVU's Christian Captain is in San Francisco and joins us live from St. Mary's. With the faithful, we're gathered this morning to honor the late Pope and also celebrate Easter Monday. Good morning, Christian. Yeah, good morning. We are expecting that celebration to begin a little bit later on this morning. But as you said, shock now really rolling through the entire Catholic world as they wake up to this new reality, learning that Pope Francis has died at the age of 88. Now, a cardinal announced the death of the Pope early today at Vatican City, saying, quote, "At 7:35 this morning, the Bishop of Rome, Francis, returned to the home of the Father. His entire life was dedicated to the service of the Lord and his church." As we all know, Pope Francis had been in failing health and had spent 38 days in a hospital battling pneumonia, but surprised the crowd gathered in Rome yesterday, blessing that crowd that had gathered at St. Peter's Square for Easter celebration. It's just a very sad day. It's honestly, I think, impressive that he made it to Easter. I think that's almost like a miracle for Italy. Yeah. A real surprise for people there to see the Pope, who spent nearly an hour out there discussing, offering his blessing, rather, to the crowd and sharing space with them on Easter Sunday. He led the Catholic Church for 12 years after Pope Benedict stepped down. Catholics today will celebrate the Monday of the Angel. Now, we are here at St. Mary's, hoping to speak with some of the faithful about what the loss of Pope Francis means to them here in the city of St. Francis. Certainly will have a very deep impact on this community of faith here in San Francisco. We will monitor throughout the day as the situation develops and as people react to the news that Pope Francis has died at the age of 88. We're live in San Francisco. Christian Captain, KTVU, Fox 2 News. Thank you, Christian. Following the Pope's death, the Vatican will follow a mourning period. Pope Francis' body will be blessed and in St. Peter's Basilica for public viewing. His funeral will be held within the next 4 to 6 days, and breaking tradition, he will not be buried in a crypt at the Vatican, but instead at Rome's St. Mary's Major Basilica. Then the College of Cardinals will hold a conclave to elect a new pope. Only cardinals under the age of 80 are eligible to cast ballots. 120 of them will vote in secret. The chosen candidate needs 2/3 majority. Otherwise, another round of voting takes place.